Sandeep ji?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sandeep ji,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
are
You
you
are
there?
audible, sir.
Yes. Okay. So let us start. There were some problems in the network. So please, I request to please mute yourself, all of you. Kindly mute yourself. So we will start. Please mute. Ravi Shankar Sagar ji. Ravi Shankar. So welcome all of you for first is my one of the is associate professor at Roorkee, and I want to introduce you. It is my privilege to introduce Dr. Sandeep Kumar. He is currently working as an associate professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Indian Institute of Technology, Roorkee. He has supervised 4 PhD theses and about 40 master dissertations. He has published about 60 research papers in the international and national journals and conferences, and he also written 3 books and some book chapters with Springer, and has filed 2 patents. He is the member of Board of Study of various universities and institutions. He is currently handling multiple national and international research consultancy projects. He has received Young Faculty Research Fellowship Award from NSF TCPP Early Adopter Award 2014, 2015, ITS Travel Award and others. He was recently invited as panelist in Vaibhav Summit of Government of India. His areas of interest included thematic web, web services, and software engineering. He is a senior member of IEEE and ACM. So now I request Sandeep ji to kindly start his lecture and enlighten us. So, it is my privilege to introduce Dr. Sandeep ji.
Yeah, am I audible, sir?
From IIT Roorkee.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Dr. Sandeep.
Am I audible, sir?
Sandeep working as Associate Professor in Department of Computer Science, Indian
Yes,
Institute of Technology, Roorkee.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank
He
you.
has supervised
Sir,
4 PhD theses and about 40 master dissertations. And he has published more than 60 research papers in international journals. And he has also written 3 books and some book chapters with Springer and filed 2 patents. He is the member of Board of Studies of various universities. He is currently handling multiple national and international research consultancy projects. Young Faculty Research Fellowship Award and Early Adopter Award in 2014-15 and ITS Travel Award and others. He was recently invited as panelist in Vaibhav Summit of Government of India. His area of interest include semantic web, web services, and software engineering. He is a senior member of IEEE and ACM.
okay. Thank you, sir.
So
Thank you.
I would like to invite Sandeep ji to
Thank you,
start
sir.
his lecture. And
So, am I audible, sir? Sir,
Yes, sir.
am I
Yes, sir.
audible? Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Professor Hars Vikram Singh, sir. First of all, I am really thankful to all the organizers, especially my friend, Professor Hars Vikram Singh, sir. And today, I hope you are also able to see my screen. I have shared my slides screen with all of you. If somehow in between there is some connectivity problem and you are not able to hear, you can put it in the chat box, or you can unmute and tell me. Ultimately, I will be assuming that whatever I am speaking, you are able to hear, right? So as far as this workshop is concerned, all of us are aware that we are mainly concerned about the issues of cyber security and basically in cyber physical systems in India and throughout the world. So this issue of cyber security and cyber crime is not only happening in India, even prevalent in the other right countries also, right? And even we will see that the major issues are happening in the different countries, and even we are the victim of many of these issues. So, in today's discussion, our main objective, my main objective, is to discuss the things, even initially to make a platform from the Indian perspective, that so that whatever we are learning through these courses, through this discussion, you are able to use it during your teaching, during discussion with your students, during you are applying for the different projects. And I would like to discuss the concept of cyber security, or security from the perspective of network and from the perspective of information, in a very different perspective. All of you are attending the course from the, I think it started from Monday, and you have attended a lot of lectures on the concept of network security, cryptography, information security, right? So can you think in the direction that mostly we are talking about the security uh, when the software is deployed, when software is deployed at the customer side or at the server side, right? Or when the everything about the software is ready, like application is ready, you are deploying that application at the customer side. After that, we are trying to install various antiviruses or different malware detection tools or the firewalls, and trying to protect that software, right? That is one layer of security. I will tell it, it's not a foolproof system anyway, because there are many different layers that can affect, that can generate the vulnerability issues in any software system, right? So ultimately, nobody is able to cover, nobody is able to specify the different possible layers through which the attack can happen. But in any way, we can try to discuss, we can try to specify at least some of the layers, or as far as possible the maximum number of layers that can be that can provide you the vulnerability to your software system, right? So as a technocrat, as all of you are working in the cyber security area, one question that should always come to our mind is that when we are basically when we are basically talking about the concept of IDS, intrusion detection systems, or intrusion prevention systems, or when we are talking about the concept of malware detection, then what we are doing most of the time is to talk about providing security after the software is deployed, right? Am I hope I am right in this concept. Most of the work that we are handling, that we are doing in cyber security domain, in this research area, basically is to detect and prevent once the software is deployed at the particular site, right? It might be customer site, it might be at the server site, right? So I want to say something in that perspective, and even that is nowadays reported widely in a research community, that why we should not do the efforts also to provide the softwares, to develop the softwares such that the vulnerability in the software with reference to attack is less, right? I hope you are understanding the perspective that I want to specify. We can think of it as a two layers. One layer, like there is a software, you have deployed it, then you are putting some sort of firewall or some sort of software that can protect it, right? Another possibility, it's I'm not saying that it will replace the system, it will replace your security system. I am saying one another layer we can put is to provide, is to develop the software in such a way that it's less vulnerable, right? It's lesser one, its vulnerability to attack is much lesser, right? I hope all of you will agree with that. Whenever we are programming, most of the time whenever we are programming, then mostly we are overlooking the security aspects during the programming. We are freely developing the software without thinking about that, and later on we are trying to secure it with the help of many different kind of technologies, and many different a lot of work is available in that direction, a lot of tools are also available in that direction, right? So in this discussion, in today's discussion, I would like to get your attention on this direction also, that when you are developing the software, try to develop the software in such a way that the loopholes, the vulnerabilities in the software development is very less, right? So one thing, I hope you are able to see my screen. One thing that I would like to get your attention to is that recently many different attacks have happened, and many of the issues in the different kind of softwares have happened, due to which there was a lot of loss to the economy, as well as many of the different issues due to these type of attacks. Recently, if you will see that some of the major attacks that have happened was due to the loophole in the software itself. Can anybody tell me any recent attack that was reported to be due to the reason that the software involved, the even the useful software that everybody is using, was having some gap within its development itself? And mostly these things are happening. Most of the time these attacks are happening, most of the time it is due to the gap in the development itself, right? In the software development itself, right? So if you remember that recently, about 6-7 months back, there was an attack, and it was very severe. It was happening throughout the world, and it was due to a gap in one of the operating system that most of us are using. And it was even found that attack was the vulnerability in that software was even known to the company earlier also, but they have used that vulnerability for a different purpose, right? But later on it was found that ultimately that was used by attacker to create the attacks, to have a soft target, right? So that there are many such examples, many such issues that are happening due to the
Sir,
problem. Yes,
like one case I remember in 2017, WannaCry, the ransomware attack,
yes,
because of the operating system, Windows operating system vulnerability,
yes,
and the
yes,
patch the students have not upgraded. I mean, the
yes,
users have not upgraded.
yes,
So,
yes,
and they were the Windows people were also aware, and even the FBI was aware, and they have
yes,
created Eternal Blue, the Linux based using Kali Linux. They have
yes.
created Eternal Blue, and which was misused and exploited later on for the attack.
Yes, yes, right. Yeah, exactly that. I want to get the attention to that type of thing. So, in most of these attacks, ransomware attack, and even many of the other attacks, yeah, the root cause of the problem is vulnerability within the software only. And many a times it is overlooked by the company. Many a times they have kept it due to some other reasons, right? Or many a times even the company is not even knowing that this vulnerability is there. So I can never say that in security, in from the perspective of cyber security or network security, we can generate an 100% foolproof software system. We can never claim that, but at least we should pay our particular attention during the time of development that the loopholes, the gaps are very less or are not there. That type of effort should be done. So in today's discussion, I would like to pay. Like in this hour of discussion, we can give you an idea that where the vulnerabilities can happen, and what are the possible ways, or what are the different sort of points where you should pay your particular attention during your development, as well as for the research work also. This can be really useful, right? So if you will look upon the concept of cyber security, right, most of the material that I have used in this discussion is from these different resources that I have specified. So overall, what you will see that where there is software deployment, there are chances of having the security related vulnerabilities, security related issues, right? So most of the topics that we normally discuss is after the secure software is deployed, and today I will be discussing before the software is deployed, when the software is being developed.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, yes.
Sir, your PPT is not showing, sir.
PPT is not shared. Yes, is the PPT not visible? Yes, please. Is my PPT visible?
Yes,
It
sir.
is visible to us, sir. It is visible to us.
Okay, okay. Okay.
Can you share it again, sir? Not visible on my screen.
Okay. Yes, is it visible now?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
yes. Yes,
Oh.
yes.
Okay. So basically, when we are talking about the security issues, mostly we are more concerned about the. Please mute your mic. There is a lot of noise. So when we are talking about the security systems, then most of the time, and even in this workshop also, our basic intention is to provide security to software systems, right? And more or less, when we are talking about these software systems, then most of the time you will see that we are not very much concerned about those softwares which are either not deployed on the network, or which are very small in size, and is of use to only a small group of users, or in-house development is happening. In all these cases, we are not very much concerned, right? Concern is there, but not that level of vulnerability is happening. So basically, those systems, mostly which are very large in size, which are interacting with many other softwares, which are having which are to be deployed on the network or on the cloud or many different platforms, right? Those are highly vulnerable, right? So in all these cases, normally recently two terms are highly like discussed in the research community of software and security. One is SIS, software intensive systems, and second is secure software development. So I will be discussing these two perspectives, and mostly from the perspective of India, digital India, basically, right? So if you will see that as far as software intensive systems are concerned, software intensive systems I will discuss in detail, but briefly I will tell you. I hope all of you are aware about the software intensive systems. Can anybody tell me what is software intensive system? Okay, so all of us are aware about the software, right? And as is also very much clear from the term SIS, software intensive system. So any system where software is dominating, where most of the functionalities or the happenings within the software, activities of that system are mostly dominated by the software part. In any system, we will see mostly it is having two components, software and hardware, right? So if the activities are highly dominated by the software, then we can call it as a software intensive system, right? A simple layman's definition. You will see that to materialize any of the idea, to fully utilize the capability of software, the software need to be integrated with the hardware, need to be interfaced with the hardware, right? To have its practical application many a times, not always, right? And in the other way also, if we discuss this topic from the other way around, what is happening these days, even to utilize any hardware, we are highly dependent upon the software. You can take an example of any of the particular scenario, like even take an example of a simple washing machine, right? If we are talking about an automatic washing machine, then you can always feel that most of the functionalities in this hardware is controlled with the help of software, right? So in that sense, whenever we are talking about the digital India, right, whenever we are talking about digitization of anything in not only in India but throughout the world, then mostly we are what we are doing, we are very much developing a lot of systems which are having interaction with the hardware, right? So in that sense, we are very much concerned about how we should have the security aspects in these type of softwares, in these type of systems, right? So firstly, I will discuss with you what is a software intensive system, right? Then I will discuss with you what is the role of software intensive system in digital India vision. That I will discuss within 5 minutes in brief only. Then we will discuss about that what type of security, what type of research in security is useful from Indian perspective in software intensive systems. And then we will also discuss how you can use this knowledge to have different sort of projects for your students and for development of different project ideas that can be applied for the funding as well. So briefly, within 5 minutes, I will discuss about the role of software intensive systems in digital India. If you will look upon the vision and mission of digital India in a very generic sense, you can see that when you will look upon, even when you will visit the digital India website, then it's not like that the digital India or the mission of digital India or the program of digital India is just for development of one or two softwares and to do the automation. Its broad system, its broad architecture, its broad objective is very vast to give a law to give a coverage to not only one sector, not only in one sector of the development, but also all the different sectors, all the different sort of citizens, as well as the industries and the economy and the education, all the different sectors are touched by this vision, right? So we can see that if you will look upon the vision, I am verbatim reading it. The vision of Digital India program is to transform India into a digitally empowered society and knowledge economy. So there are two keywords: digitally empowered society and knowledge economy. So the from this only you can see that the overall objective is to develop the digitally enabled software and systems which can help the society in its empowerment. And secondly, they should also add to the economy. They should also add to the knowledgeable economy, right? Knowledge dependent economy, right? Not only just based on based on the hard work, but also to have the smartness in the work with the help of digitization, right? So one thing we can take into mind that these days even you will see that most of the funding applications that are opened by the government and the different sectors, public sectors also, they are having this thing in mind, and it is clearly written in most of the cases that your work should be empowering the society. It should be having the positive effects in the society, and ultimately you should be able to develop some product, some system where the economic, like even Atmanirbhar Bharat, it is also related to this one, knowledge economy. You are affecting the skill, you are affecting the strength of the economy. So that this vision is further divided into different domains like digital infrastructure, governance and services, and digital empowerment of citizens. So I will just go through these briefly one by one. So overall, you can see that these are various pillars of digital India, and you will see that all these sectors, whatever are specified on this slide, are ultimately having a lot of use of softwares, lot of use of software intensive systems. Many a times what I want to convey, many a times when we are talking about the cyber security or secure systems or cyber crimes or cyber physical systems, then we normally think of like if there is any call on cyber security or on network security, then only we are thinking that we can apply security, right? We can apply for the project, or we can give some topics on the on to the students. But the truth is that, can you believe, can you see that all these sectors, whatever is the sector, is having use of software intensive system. And where there is software, there is a need of security also, right? Where there is network connectivity, there is a need of security also, right? So you should broaden your perspective of thinking in the area of cyber security and cyber crime, right? In the area of cyber security, network security, and information security, you need to think in a broader perspective, that not only we can think about applying the concept of security in a particular hardcore research area, but whenever we are thinking that there are different applications where the software is applicable, do we need to apply the same concepts? Are these applicable in that domain, right? Or we need to adapt these concepts of security, or how we can customize that, how we can use that in that particular domain is also of interest. Many a times, dependent upon a particular application and its deployment in the market, some new loopholes, some new vulnerabilities can be occurring. So that also need to be taken care of by the researchers in the area of security. So if you look upon these different pillars one by one, I will give you an overview within like 10 seconds for each. If you will look upon these, then first is broadband highways. You will see that under this perspective, you need to provide broadband connectivity throughout the India. And under this pillar itself, under this vision itself, we have various national information infrastructure like NKN, that all of us are aware about that. Many a times, many of the lectures are delivered through NKN, right? So within this perspective, have you ever thought that what are the issues related to security? When you will have the high reachability of network throughout the India, in the rural area itself, in the urban area, and to different sort of users, how we should provide the security in that perspective, right? I am not having the answers, I am just having the questions that can be taken care of by the researchers, that by all of you in different projects, in different issues, right, in different problems. Like when you are having a broadband connectivity to the rural area, right? And or I'm not saying the rural or urban area, I will say the different categories of users. Some users are very smart, they are using the different sort of tools to secure their software systems, to secure their system, but many of them are not so much aware, and many a times many of the users are not so much economically strong that they can purchase the tools for securing the system. So, and in network security and information security, it's always said that even if one of the node is weak, then it can have the vulnerability for full system, all of the system. So how to handle those issues? how to what type of security we can provide at these type of nodes, right? So we need to think in that direction. Like another pillar is mobile connectivity, universal access to mobile connectivity, which has really revolutionized our life and the economy and the way we are thinking and the way we are living, right? And you will always feel that through the smartphones we are accessing so many things. We are accessing so many applications. We are doing banking through the mobile phones, through the smartphones, and many a times it is felt that a proper secure mechanism, proper security is not taken care of while we are accessing the mobile when we are using the smartphones. And we are freely using the different, it's general habit, not only to the very literate person, not specific to illiteracy or literacy, even everybody, whoever is using the desktop system or laptop and the mobile, many times we are securing and putting a lot of secure mechanisms in our laptop, but ignoring it when we are using the smartphone. And many times it is happening that security in mobile phone can reduce its execution speed. So that issue is there. So we need to think of in that direction to have some lightweight mechanism, to have some lightweight algorithms that can handle the issues. And if you will see, even the if we are going in the area of machine learning, everybody is talking about that. Even in those cases that happened, that the big algorithms, the heavy algorithms of machine learning was creating a lot of issues in the smartphones. So that's why the concept of TensorFlow and the tools for development was happening that are having lightweight mechanism. So that type of research can be useful in the case of your smartphone systems also. Server side, there is no problem. On server side, we are having a lot of good capabilities of computing power. Another pillar is public internet access program, through which a lot of CSCs are established in the Gram Panchayat. So the same issues are there in these nodes also in the network. Another is e-governance, like everything is now through these digital platforms. So under this pillar, you are having form simplification, field reduction, online application and tracking, online repositories of everything, mostly like certificates, educational degrees, identity documents. So all these are going to be put as an online repository. Similarly, Aadhaar, everybody is knowing about that. And many of you must have seen a lot of news related to security in these platforms, right? So at least we can give these as a case study to our students, to just read these, how the security mechanism is working in these platforms and what are your suggestions. Even we can also try to see that what type of improvement can happen in these platforms. So that can be a good case study, that can be good living example of the different softwares that requires the secure mechanism, right? Even in like in banking system is also happening, everything is online, but in those cases normally we don't know what is the underlying mechanism, right? But these platforms are highly publicized and a lot of information is available. So at least student can try to imitate these type of platforms in their small projects and learn that how the secure mechanism is applied in these tools. And you will see, many a times you will see that once these things are known to students, they are very curious to know further detail. They will refer a lot of further literature from the different resources, and many a times they are coming up with very good solutions, very novel solutions, innovative solutions, right? So that is one of the area, one of the thing that you can handle, right? Another one is like e-kranti. E-kranti is taking care of many of the keywords that can be explored by all of you for the security. I just have the objective to broaden your perspective in thinking on security. Like if you will see the e-Kranti, then not only we are talking about the ICT infrastructure, but we are talking about some of the recent technologies like cloud by default. The objective is that most of the initiatives, most of the digital infrastructure will be delivered through cloud. Most of the things will be mobile first because the reachability of mobile smartphones are very high throughout the country. So this in itself is a cloud security in itself is a very good area of research. And when you are applying for any project, you can always correlate it with the vision of digital India, right? You can always customize your problem from the digital India perspective that can be helpful in this type of case studies, in this type of problems. Similarly, mandating standards and protocols, language localization, national GIS, geographic geospatial information system also. So that is also one of the area of research. Then security and electronic data preservation. So whenever there is secure and electronic data preservation, the issue of information security will be there, right? So you can always work in that direction, right? Then information for all. So that is another objective, social media engagement of government and open data platform. So many a times it's open data platform may be related to security when we are talking about the security of the data, but not so much. I feel your views might be different. But when we are using this data, right, many a times you will see that in many of the research problems you are using data of different countries and our specific data is not available from our country. And when you are applying for project or when you are applying for when your student is doing any PhD thesis, then most of the time it is said, oh, you have taken data from US or you have taken data from that country, so will that be applicable in India? We have doubt. So mostly we don't have answer to that. So this initiative has started, and even we can contribute to that by generating some Indian data for like but it might not be related to security, but it's a very good initiative. Another thing is one of the early harvest program where there is a lot of the things happening, not only one thing, like IT platform for messages. This is one of the requirement even for government to have a secure email system within the government, secure messaging system, private messaging system, private chat system, which is so much secure instead of using the public servers or instead of using the proprietary server of some of the other companies. So if that type of work is there, that type of possibility is there at the institutional levels, government institutes can participate. Government greetings to be greetings, biometric attendance, everybody is knowing about that. Wi-Fi in all universities, secure email system, then standard email design, that is in the design area, basically public Wi-Fi, school books to be books, weather information, disaster alert. A lot of work, a lot of funding is provided by government in disaster management and disaster alert system, management systems, and even early warning systems. A lot of funding is provided by government in these areas. Similarly, other initiatives, Aadhaar enabled payment system, agri market. Everybody is knowing about agri market these days. A lot of applications by different state governments and central governments are provided. BBNL, Bheem app. CERT-in is very active these days. Previously, it was not so much active. CCTNS, crop insurance mobile app, Cyber Swachhata Kendra. So Cyber Swachhata Kendra in itself is an initiative that is related to cyber security, right? Botnet cleaning and malware analysis center. So this is one of the initiative that is related to have the reachability of security, secure mechanisms and secure softwares to the general public, to the users, end users, right? Similarly, digital locker. So within that, it's a platform for issuance and verification of documents. So in itself, it should be secure, and even the security of documents, digital documents, itself is a very big research area, right? How to have the security mechanism which is lightweight and which is foolproof. right? Digital aims, direct benefit transfer, JAM, Koya Paya, MyGov, NKN, smart cities. Smart city in itself is having a lot of perspective. I will discuss that, right? So as a teacher, you can explore so many things in this case. As a teacher, you can not only explore these technologies to provide some furtherance in these technologies from the digital India perspective. You can do a lot of research work with your students in these areas as a part of your PhD thesis. You can also at least provide these to the students to study these after they have the basic knowledge of these areas, so that they are able to understand the issues, they are able to understand the uh, occurrences of these all these things in India. And as a researcher also, you can apply for a lot of projects for funding that can help in these initiatives, and even provide the project ideas to students, to your PhD student also, to your MTech student also. So now throughout all these discussions, we have seen that in all these different initiatives, in all these different perspectives of digital India, there was the need of softwares, right? In some cases, the participation of software might be lesser, but more or less, they are highly dominated by the softwares. And if you will look upon the definition of software intensive systems, then you will see that the quoted definition is specified here. You can see that a software intensive system is by definition any system where software influences to a large extent the design, construction, deployment, and evolution of the system as a whole. So now you can see that where there in any system the activities, the deployment, the construction, even its evolution, further evolution and maintenance is highly dominated by, influenced by the software, can be called as software intensive system. In this definition, if you look closely, large extent can be 100% also, right? If then in that case we can say that if it is a software completely handled by software, data processing application like, so that will also be a software intensive system. So so the coverage is very right. So there are some examples of these type of systems like embedded systems, telecommunication systems, right? Wireless and ad hoc software systems, business applications. So I hope most of the time when we are talking about the secure software systems, when we are talking about cyber security research, information security research, we are not trying to think about these type of systems. We are just thinking, okay, this is malware, we have to do malware detection, and we have to do we have to handle some sort of attacks, but we never think about the softwares on which these attacks are happening, or the software intensive systems on which these things are happening. So if we are working in the embedded system area already, just an example, or we are working in the telecommunication area or wireless ad hoc systems, then we will never think there is any issue of security also in these systems. But is it true? No, it's not true. There can be issues. Security is always an issue in all the different sort of areas. So we are overlooking many a times. If you will see with the time, like if you will see in the last decade possibly, or you will see in the last 4 or 5 years, whatever is the discipline of work of your engineering, even if you are working in agriculture, you are working in biochemical, biomedical, right? You are using computer science, you are using IT, you are using electronics, VLSI design, lot of things are happening in all the different domains. Similarly, when you are talking about software systems, whatever is your domain in computer softwares related to software, it can be embedded systems, it can be telecommunication, wireless sensor networks, wireless ad hoc networks, cloud-based systems, any business application, web services, whatever is your domain, it cannot be disintegrated from the security. Security aspects will always happen. Just you have to think about the architecture of that type of system and try to see where there are gaps, where there is a scope of work in this domain to do some improvement in the security aspects, right? So if you look upon the ISO definition of SIS, then the things will be more clear to you. Software intensive systems are systems in which software development and or integration are dominant considerations. So most of the complex systems these days, they are software intensive systems where there is the need of automation. So ultimately, all the computer based software systems, even if it is an individual software application, or it's an information system, it's an embedded system, or it's a software product line, a family of softwares, right? Might be matching with many different features, right? All these software and even the systems of systems, I will discuss that. That will be software intensive system, right? So I will discuss SIS in brief quickly. Then I will move on to the secure software development. Then you will see that in software intensive systems, the overall success of the system is dependent upon the overall architecture level coordination. If we as a team are doing the different tasks for the development of software intensive system, right? And one team is going on going on properly. They are developing the software very properly, right? And other team is also developing their part very properly, but the different parts ultimately when developed independently they are okay, but when we try to integrate them, we try to interface them, then they are not getting properly interfaced. A lot of things to make it successful. Same thing is happening in providing the security in software intensive systems. When we are talking about security after deployment of SIS, then one level you are providing. But if we are overlooking the secure software development during the development, even if you are keeping one thread open, then it can create a lot of problems in the future, right? And there are many issues that I will discuss with you regarding that. So if you will look closely on the software intensive systems, its hierarchical architecture, then most of the software intensive systems are built from the other smaller systems, right? So in a software intensive system, it can be composed of other systems or it can be composed of some system elements also which are not further decomposable, right? So that type of hierarchy is happening. So it can be composed of systems or system elements, and hierarchically it can continue. So if you will take a very simple example of a smart city application, then overall that application managing a city can be called as a software intensive system, because that system is composed of so many systems which are integrated to each other. So in this structure you will find that there are many possible gaps where where the vulnerability for the security might happen within a system, and within system element there can be vulnerability. That is okay, that most of you are working on that. But on the interfaces also there can be vulnerabilities, and many times you will find that interfaces are providing an open thread from where the vulnerabilities might happen, and we normally overlook them. What is happening, that one system is developed by one team, other system is developed by other team. They should of calling relationship or message passing is established to have the interface between the two, and that interface is sometimes not secure, not and is highly vulnerable, and that is normally overlooked because multiple teams are involved, and we are not so much bothered that how the security issues can be taken care of on these interfaces. So this is one area of research that you can take care of, that what can happen, what are the different vulnerabilities at these interfaces where the people should care, where the people should work upon, how we can provide security to these, what should be done within the development at the time of development of interfaces that they are highly secure. Many things are happening, many have been done, but there is a lot of scope for the improvement in the other cases also. Like many of you might have heard about during the implementation of the systems and in Java programming and object-oriented programming also, there are access identifiers for the different classes, public, private, protected, right? So these mechanisms are ultimately seems to be very trivial, but are we using these very properly? When we are implementing at an academic level, at the institute level, most of our students are using them very without giving so much thought. If something is not happening, they will use public access identifier in Java or in C++, right? Without giving much thought. Okay, now the functions are, we are able to call the functions from one class to another class by using the public identifier. So now the system is working, functionality is complete. But we mostly, it's not our habit. It's not the habit of us as well as our students that we should use these very properly. Because if we are opening it in as a public access identifier, then it can open a lot of issues. It can create a lot of vulnerabilities if it's not a good choice. So our choice should be dependent upon some logic, that where we should use the public identifier access identifier, dependent upon your problem, right? So if you will look upon a software intensive system in itself is having two components, software applications and hardware platforms and devices, right? And on the other side, you can see that a software intensive system in itself is interacting with other software intensive systems, to the human being as well as to other equipments. Even there can be human computer interaction also. And if we look upon the software application, then it can be composed of other software components, other computer software units, right? Similarly for the hardware. So one thing in software applications is to be taken care of, that if it is composed of multiple software components, right, which is highly desirable these days to reduce the cost of the software development, then it might happen that the components that you are deploying to build the complete software might be from the different organizations, might be developed by different organizations. Like even most of the software that we are installing, right, like you are installing a internet explorer or any of the explorer internet browser, like Chrome or whatever, right? Then many a times you are installing the patches or plugins later on, right? So those plugins are a sort of a software component that you are deploying over there to get better facilities or more functionalities. But that also brings with it the possibility of vulnerabilities with reference to security. If that patch in itself is not benign, it might be a malware, or are you downloading it from a proper source? Is it proprietary or from the different company, right? That patch, how it is interacting with your application, that technicality can give you a lot of ideas related to security, right? So that is one of the open issue. Like when many people, most of us are working in this domain in cybersecurity area, but we have never think that how the software component development is ultimately giving us the way to think in more deep about providing security to these interfaces, these patches, and these plugins. So, as an example of a simple software-intensive system, we have published one of these paper in IEEE Consumer Electronics once about even if we are talking about a smart city, then in that smart city there are so many small systems which are deployed. This is just a very small example of a city tour planner service where you are deploying some IoT devices at the different locations, right? And through a web application, a smartphone application, Android app or whatever application, you are trying to find the best path so that you are given under the given time and under the constraints of the city, like the crowd and all these things happening on the roads, you can cover most of the monuments, most of the sightseeings, the different places of sightseeing within that city. So that type of smart city applications seems to be very good, can be used. It is a very small example of a software intensive system, but there can be lot of issues of security at all the interfaces. Just an example. So here I am specifying you the different challenges related to security in all these applications of software intensive system that I have specified to you. Like in any of the domain, even I will not say even in so specific software intensive system, if you will look upon any of the applications that you are deploying in a city or in your lab or in whatever related to digitization, then where there is the possibility of communication between the applications, then the issue of network security will happen, right? Similarly, when you are storing the data on the disks or on the cloud, again the security of information will happen, right? Whenever there is communication and storage on the cloud also, the issue of information network security and nowadays covered under the cloud security will happen. Similarly, when there is a lot of data which you are putting on the cloud or which you are storing on the servers, then from that data you can always do a lot of activities related to data analytics to get a lot of new information, to get a lot of new observations. So there you can easily apply the machine learning. You can do a lot of work on weather prediction, traffic prediction, prediction related to the traveling time based on time of the day, traffic management, and even that has happened in the in a lot of applications that all day by day we are using during the traveling. Another thing is software development processes that I will discuss in the further slides that can help you to up to a level to lessen the vulnerability in the software related to security. Another thing, mostly we are talking about IoT and cloud, right? And if we are working in security, we will try to see, okay, we are very comfortable in this area since many years. So why should we think about IoT and cloud? Why we should work in that area? That's okay, like it's personal choice always, right? In the other way around also it can happen. But the thing is that where there you are deploying the cloud and using a lot of IoT devices for communication, even in those areas, and essentially in cloud, many a times you will find a lot of work happening in the security, right, related to security. But as I said initially itself, no area where there the software is involved can survive without providing security, right? Security is really essential in all these things. So when we are talking about the security, and as I specified that in today's discussion, our basic thought is to discuss about security at the time of development itself, secure software development. So this term is very like new, I will say. However, it was talked a lot in the different blogs, and people are trying to work in this direction. Many a lot of work is happening, but I will not say that it is fully overlooked in the software industry. It's not like that. As I have given you an example, a lot of object-oriented design and development activities that all of us are doing with the students and they are doing in the industry, they have taken care of a lot of things. There is a lot of provision for handling that, for providing the security, for handling the vulnerabilities. But we are overlooking that because that is our general habit. I have given an example to you, all of you. Right, so I will discuss this in detail. Like if we are talking about secure software development, so if a software is securely developed means during the development and design, we have taken care of possible vulnerabilities that can and the issues within the software, right? Then automatically the chances of fault within the software will be lesser, right? If software is developed securely, security issues later on will be lesser, right? And if the software is developed securely, but there are a lot of fault in the software, then also security is hampered, right? So to handle these things, to have the fault-free software, so that ultimately it's a secure software, we need to apply the software development processes from the industrial perspective, right? From the professional practice, using the professional standards and practices of software engineering, and that is normally overlooked during the academic practices by the students, right? And that is one of the cause that when they are normally interacting with the recruiters and they are writing the code, but that is not of good quality. They are writing the design, but that is of not good quality. Recently, I was interacting with one of a recruiter, a highly reputed organization throughout the world. I was just saying that when there are people, there are multiple candidates, when they have written the code and the code is functioning properly, every one of them have written the code which is generating the desired result, then how you are judging? You are so much filtering. What is the reason? So they are saying that we want to have the output in the form of robust code. That is really important, right? It's not like that just writing the code which is functional is okay. If that code is not robust covers so many things. It's covering the fault freeness, it's covering the security, it's covering the design aspects, it covers so many things, right? So that later on when it is deployed, right, it's working fine. That is the primary requirement, but it's also fault free, maintenance is easy, and it's not creating the security related vulnerability, security related issues in the system. That is also highly desirable, which we normally overlook during the study as well as during the development, right? So when we are talking about these software development practices, these are really essential, and these are normally overlooked by most of us uh, during the academic practices. Most of our students are developing the software without thinking about that are we following the proper process to develop the software, right? I will not go into the detail of software engineering because that's not the topic of our discussion, right? But we should at least understand that uh, we are part of engineering community, and are we following the engineering for the development of softwares? Mostly when we are developing the electronic systems, when we are following the developing the electrical engineering based different systems, electrical apparatus and components, instruments in mechanical devices, when we are developing the uh, when we are constructing the buildings, right? All of us, the large size buildings, basically all of us are following the engineering principles. They are taken care of by the engineers. They are taken care of by the different principles of civil engineering, by even the thermal engineering, by mechanical engineering, by architects also. Everything is taken care of. If like a multi-story, 100-story building is to be developed, environmental engineering also. But when we are developing the softwares, right, small softwares, even by for mobile apps, Android apps, are we following the principles? Mostly no, right? In industry these are followed, but mostly our students just think that like I know the coding, I know a programming language, and that's enough. I can write the code, it will work, and that's fine. But that is not the proper engineering practice. You can think of a very simple scenario, right? I will okay, I will discuss that thing. You can think of a very simple scenario that like if we are building any small house, right, a very small one room office, then most of you are having two choices. One is to deploy any particular uh, contractor, local PT contractor, who might not be having a degree or the knowledge of developing the house, constructing the house, or construction, civil construction degree is not there, right? That is one choice. Second choice is to hire any uh, construction company, big construction company, right? Any of the big construction company that is available, right? So out of these two choices, which one we normally prefer? Which one we normally prefer? Can anybody answer? Anyone? Okay. So anyway, like if we want to build a small house, then normally we prefer local contractor, right? What's the reason for that? Why we want to you like it's an example of civil engineering. Why we are not going to the construction company? The reason is that for building this small house, we we can rely upon the past experience of the local contractor, right? And if we are reaching to the construction company, building that house will be very costly. It will not be cost effective, and we will also not be able to deliver it within the given time, right? It will take a lot of steps. It will be taken care of by a lot of different engineers, and so it will be time consuming and costly. But if we want to build a 100-story big office, twin tower type of building, like the different towers in the metro cities, then there are again two choices. We can do it with the help of a local contractor, small contractor, same contractor that we have used for the small house, or we can hire the construction company. So as a wise person, always we will prefer the construction company, right? What is the reason? That we know that to build this large application, this large building, right? We cannot rely on the past experience only. We have to take care of the different engineers which are available with the construction company, so that they can build a proper map. They have the architect, they have the thermal engineering people, mechanical engineering people, strength testing can be there, earthquake testing, wetting can be there, design wetting can be there. So they will build the building with proper design within the given time, and it will be cost effective also, right? So in these two example, I just want to say the first example, the first scenario is non-engineering scenario, and second scenario is engineering scenario. I am saying that construction company is using engineering principles, and that's why the vulnerability, a sort of attack, like in software, there are software attacks, cyber security related attacks. But in building, the attacks can be in the form that it's not properly drawn, it's not as per architecture, or it's not its strength testing is not done properly, so its life is very less. So all these are also a sort of attacks. So same thing is happening in the software development also. If software engineering principles are not followed properly, then the chances of attacks, the issues, the vulnerabilities, and maintenance and all things will happen. In addition to that, the security issues will also be there, right? So there are some specified fundamentals, and some that we need to take care of during the logic building, that we have to follow during the design and development to make the secure softwares, right? So there are so many things in the secure software development that has to be taken care of to have a secure software development. And in all these things, one thing I would like to discuss with all of you, even when the software crisis happens in what was the reason of software crisis, and under the software crisis what was happening frequently, the softwares were crashing. There were many reasons that many of them were not meeting the user requirements, right? And they were very difficult to debug and handle the bugs or faults in the softwares, right? So even at that time, in the early 90s, at that time the dependence upon software was less, but nowadays dependence upon software has really increased. And even then, our culture of software development by software is more or less same. We are not giving so much attention to that part, that whether we are writing the design, we are vetting it properly so that there is no gap in the design, whether we are doing the development by the principles of software development properly. We are overlooking that. That's happening. Many times you will see that in industry, in construction industry, most of the design work is vetted by the experts. Many of you will see that even in companies or even in public sector, most of the designs are coming to the experts of that domain in civil engineering department of your institute. They are vetting it, they are specifying that yes, design is having these gaps, this should be improved. Similarly, many things. Now, can we see that is the software not equivalent to that? Software is also essential part of life nowadays, just like any building. But we are overlooking that. We are not getting it done properly for. We are not even giving the attention by our students that are they designing it properly. Is that there are multiple possible design? Which design is good for building, for constructing the software? So that has to be taken care of. That is normally overlooked. And in software, during the secure software development, there are many things which are specified to have the secure software development. One of a very good example is design patterns, right? Many of you have heard about design patterns. Can anybody tell me what is design pattern? Most of you must have heard about that. If your students are going to software industry for summer training or winter training, then they are first taught some of the good companies. I am not talking about some general startups. Most of the good companies, they will teach the students to use these design patterns during building the design, right? And that is really essential at the design level itself to provide the security by using these patterns, right? So if you will look upon the design pattern, I will make you understand it in a very simple manner. All of you must have heard about the term pattern. In mathematics also that is there. If you will simply see that a pattern is describing a recurring problem. If a problem, if an activity, if an action, or if a set of activities are happening in the recurrent form, they are recurring in the same style, then we can call it as a pattern, right? And in a pattern mostly, if many, as a human being, we are also able to learn the patterns in our daily life. Even you will see that mostly if we are having a habit of rising at 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, then doing the task 1, then doing task 2, task 3, we are habitual of that. And in the day by day life, we are able to adopt that. So that is also a pattern, right? So pattern we can say is describing a recurring problem, a recurring set of activities, right? So in the case of patterns, we can always say that if you know some set of patterns, as a human being also that is happening, if you know some set of patterns during the software development or any of the development, you can always replicate that pattern. You can always easily see that yes, in this application development, this pattern can be helpful, right? So from the perspective of design pattern, from the perspective of design pattern, if you know what was happened in the software industry initially, that if the pattern is specifying the particular scenario under which you should develop in this way, so that you have secure software development, better software development. So what is happening if you know that this software is having these three components: front end, back end, and an interface, right? And another software is also having this type of activity. Third software is also having this type of components. Fourth is also having this type of components, right? Then you know that this is a general pattern happening in these type of softwares. So if you have mastered that, yes, for this type of problem, I should follow this type of design. I should have these type of accessibilities between the different parts of my software in the modular design. Then the vulnerability is very low. So you are giving that a particular name, pattern type 1, and you are teaching it to all of your pupils, all of your staff members. And then whenever any software is coming for you to develop, then you are looking that is that pattern happening in this software also. If yes, you are reusing that knowledge and developing the design according to that. So in that, what will happen, you will not only secure the software, you will also reduce the efforts, because you are reusing a lot of knowledge, you are using a lot of effort, just replacing it with the context of new knowledge, and you will get the design done, right? So in that sense, design patterns are really useful, right? Can anybody name any famous design pattern which is reported by a lot of industries to be very useful, and most of the students normally use that and should use that during the software development, right? Anybody name it? Okay, one of very famous is MVC, right? I will discuss that. So any pattern in software development have four important parts: problem, context, solution, and again the context in which the work will be performed, or what work will the software will work, and under which it will not work. Parallel to design patterns is also anti-patterns, right? It's like that. Anti-patterns is like that. Normally when we say कि हम लोग गलतियों से सीखते हैं, so anti-pattern is similar to that one only. Like we know that we implemented our design and development in that way once, then again we tried with that and we get the bad results, or it was very vulnerable software, it was hacked by the others. Due to that reason, we have learned that. So we will also store that pattern for future, that if similar problem is occurring for which we need to implement, then that pattern should not be implemented. If that pattern is implemented, then there will be problems in the future. So that can be called as anti-pattern, right? So there are a lot of different sort of patterns, like expert pattern is also there. Like this can help the students to decide, or the software developers to decide, that which class should be responsible for doing certain type of activities. Like if you are implementing the software, then there are possibility that there are 4 tasks. Then out of these 4 tasks, like you are creating 2 classes, then which one of the tasks should be set to class 1, which to this class 2. So if we are putting it randomly, then there can be lot of accessibility issues, security issues, right? And so ultimately design is having so much influence on the security and interaction between the classes. So the simple solution is provided by the expert pattern, that you should assign the responsibility to that particular class. Responsibility means the action, the function that has the necessary information to fulfill the requirements of that particular function, responsibility of that particular function. So what will be the benefit of that? Can anybody tell me what will be the benefit of that? If we are putting the class, if we are putting the function in a class where most of the data items required for that function is available, then the interaction between that function and the other functions in other class will be minimal. And when the interaction is minimal, software is more secure, right? The loopholes, the possibility of gaps will be very less, and it will be more cohesive also, right? Software will be more cohesive also. Similarly, there is a pattern creator, right? I am just giving you the overview, right? That you can, if you are interested, you can look into the detail of these patterns. Similarly, there is controller pattern, right, which is really useful for providing the secure software development, right? Who should be responsible for handling the actor requests, right? You might have heard about event handlers, event controllers in software development, right? So who should be responsible for handling the actor request? Like if there are different sort of requests, so which class should be responsible, which module should be responsible, right? If it is not decided properly, you are providing accessibility to the events and actions of the different users to the different classes without any thought, then it can create a lot of gaps in your software development, in your software. Factored pattern is also very important from the perspective of secure software development, right, which is related to the database accessibility. When we are talking about security, the database security, the data that has been generated by your software or is accessed by your software is also very important from the security perspective. So that pattern really helps you to decide that where the accessibility to data should be provided, to which class it should be provided, to which class it should be accessible, right? And this one, MVC, model view controller, this is very famous due to the reason that this type of pattern is occurring in most of the problems, most of the software developments that you are doing, model view controller, right? So it says that how should the user interface, the boundary of software, interact with the other objects, the backend or the computational node, how it should be specified. So where there is the issue of model, right, the overall architecture view and the backend where the activities are happening, right? So then you need to decide that which part should be, then you need to design that problem by using this pattern, MVC pattern. So you can go into the detail of this pattern to know more detail how it should be applied in your problem so that you are having the better software development and better architecture, right? So that's all for today's discussion, and I hope all of you have learned something from this discussion. If you have any question, you can ask me. Anything you want to ask? Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot. I hope all of you must have learned.
Sandeep ji, am
Yes,
I
sir.
audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice presentation, very informative, especially for the software security. And I think all the participants are very happy to see you. And I request to kindly share PPTs, and I will also provide the recording of lectures to all the participants. Thank you, sir. Thank you again for giving.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Okay, should I leave now?
Oh, yes, sir. Please, please.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So, dear participants, now we are moving to the second session of this FDP. Mr. Ashok Kumar Mohan from Amrita Vishnu Vidyapeetham, Coimbatore. Ashok, are you here? Ashok ji?
Good afternoon, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, 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 yes. Okay. Welcome, welcome, very heartily welcome you. And
Thank you, sir.
we have also Ramesh ji. Ramesh ji and Ashok ji will take this session. First, I would like to introduce very young and dynamic and fellow Mr. Ashok Kumar, very energetic in the field of cyber security. He is currently serves as a research associate at TIFASC core in cyber security. His area of interest are cyber forensic, online social media analysis, and I would like to invite Ashok ji. Kindly share your PPT and start the session.
Thank you, sir. So I hope my screen is visible, right?
Yes, visible. Go ahead, Ashok.
Yeah, sir. Fine, sir. So, I just want to thank Ramesh here for giving this opportunity to just share my insights on vulnerability assessment and malware IOCs. I hope most of the participants, those who are available here, will be from faculty category, somewhere on teaching, and then very few might be on the research category. As the introduction was given for me, I am Ashok Kumar Mohan. I'm a research associate here in Amrita University. We have a specific center for cybersecurity. We offer a full-time MTech program in cybersecurity. So I'm doing my research. Specifically, I'm just doing my PhD in digital forensics. So this is my profile. I hope you can just Google for my name with my university name, Amrita University, Ashok Kumar Mohan Cyber.